grade it out this season, Ken, what kind of grade would you give your team?
I would say B plus, A minus. I thought a lot of thoughts. One, we won 22 ball games, and that's not easy to do. We won some huge games. We beat some really good teams, and made it to New York in the NIT. So I think our guys really accomplished a lot of good things, but we had our issues where whether it was the off the court issues or just losing a couple games, like most anybody does, but losing a couple games that we really felt we could win.
How about your coaching? What kind of grade do you give your coaching?
Probably a C.
Pretty tough on yourself, huh?
I don't know. I think that's fair.
Okay. To go into this offseason, I guess the biggest questions are the status of two of your better players, Klay Thompson and D'Angelo Casto. What do you know, if anything different, and when do you expect to know?
I don't know anything different than I did, with Klay when I first got hired, the first time we talked, and that was at the end of his sophomore year. Well, let me back up. When I was first hired, my first meeting with him, and we talked about what his goals and aspirations were. He felt like if he could have a great year, then he would love to get to the NBA, and that has never changed. The only thing I've heard differently is if he felt he was a late first rounder or a first rounder, that's what he really aspired to do, is go to the NBA. And with D'Angelo, him and I have really not sat down and talked about that for months, probably since the fall. But I know that he has aspirations to play professional basketball at some level also.
How does that affect your planning for next year? I mean, you probably want to get started pretty quickly, I would guess.
Yeah, we've seen this coming, so we've planned accordingly. That's why we brought in Faisal Aden. We signed him before we ever coached Klay Thompson, even in a game, knowing that if Klay had just an outstanding sophomore season, that there was a chance he would be gone. Well, then we also brought in Michael Ladd, knowing that if Klay leaves after this year, we have Michael Ladd right there ready to step in and fulfill that role. So we feel like we've covered our bases pretty well. And with D'Angelo, it's a different situation. We really don't have that guy in a scholarship situation as of yet, but we think it'll happen.
Speaking of Ladd and the red shirts, first of all, did Ladd do enough this year to earn himself a scholarship for next year?
He's done a great job. We think he'll be a good player and a great contributor in our program. So yes.
And then Dexter, do you think he took strides this year?
I think he did. He showed a great deal of determination. He was quite often the first guy at practice and almost always the last guy to leave, working on his game. He worked extra hard in the weight room, and it doesn't really show yet, but in time it will. He's got a high metabolism, and he's having a hard time putting on weight. But according to Coach Lang, our strength coach, he's done as good a job as anybody in the weight room, and is really looking forward to next year and wanting to contribute, and we think he can.
You better keep him away from Robbie Cowgill then.
Yeah, they go have lunch together once in a while, share a slice of pizza.
One other question I wanted to ask you about, you did have some off-court issues this year. Are you going to spend time in the off-season recrafting a policy concerning those kind of things?
Yeah, there will be some changes made and well, there will be some changes made in that area.
Ken, do you think Faisal, will he require any sort of knee surgery, or is his problem just kind of a chronic thing?
It's more or less a chronic thing from my understanding, but we do need to have that checked out this spring. Just like Reggie's wrist, we need to get pictures of that and see where that's at.
And I think, Ken, myself included, I think we got a little numb to Reggie playing in pain most or all of the year. Do we even know for sure? Is it still technically fractured?
We don't know. That's why we're going to get a picture taken. We don't know at this time because we haven't had any pictures taken since December. But the pain has not been there. He finished the season, I want to say about the last month, not wearing that brace on his wrist, and he said his wrist felt pretty good. So hopefully the pictures look good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Ken, you talked with Clay about the pros and cons of leaving early, and what, if you haven't so far, what were you plan on saying?
I plan on saying that if his strong aspirations are to leave, it being a first round pick would pull him that way, then I think he should do that. He's had a few years to think about this now. It's not like all of a sudden just last week or two he said, hey, maybe I'll get a chance at the NBA. So I know he's given it a lot of thought. He has a father that he trusts a lot because his dad was a #1 draft pick and played in the NBA for a number of years. And so he's getting really good advice. I'm really not sure how much I will have to say in his decision except to support him, and that's what I want to do. We would love to see him go to the NBA. If he's ready and gets a great offer, then we're excited for him.
You'd also love to see him come back, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, if he decided to come back, we're fine with that too.
And as you finish the season, how many guys do you have on scholarship?
As we finish the season, how many guys?
Right.
We have 12 guys on scholarship right now.
Have you had exit interviews, for lack of a better term, Ken, with all the kids yet?
No. I've only been back for less than 2 days, and we've kind of just taken a little bit of time apart from each other. Met with Reggie yesterday, but that had nothing to do with basketball related stuff. So just touching base with him on academic stuff.
Ken, what's that? Talk to anybody like Stephen Bjornstad with his knees and stuff, Ken? Have you talked to him? I mean, is it possible he'll just have to quit, or?
I've not had those conversations with him or anybody else yet, but those will be coming fairly soon, probably within the next 2 weeks.
How does your team stacking up academically, Ken?
Well, the midterm grades were pretty good. That's what we're going off of right now. So hopefully I know they've had a lot of travel, but they've got five weeks to get the job done, and I think they'll do a good job.
And Patrick Simon played kind of a decreasing role as the conference season went on and in the postseason. What was going on there?
Well, I think it was more just that Abe Lodwick and Brock Modem were doing a good job. And Patrick, being a freshman, doesn't have the experience that Brock and Abe have and was not really shooting it as well as he had early in the year. So, therefore, his minutes went down a little bit, but it was more because of the way Abe and Brock were playing.
And because especially if Clay and D'Angelo leave, obviously, that makes it quote unquote easier in the scholarship situation. Have any kids come to you and indicated they might be interested in transferring?
No, nobody has come to me yet and mentioned anything about transferring, but there's always that chance. It's happened, I would say 70, 80% of the years that I've coached. So there's always that chance that someone might want to come in and talk about their future plans here at WSU, or what maybe our future plans are for them, and then they might have a decision to make.
Ken, do you not go to the Final Four and to the NABC convention?
I went from 1984 till about 2008, and for that 20 some years, never missed it. But the last few years, the Final Four week has been the same week as our daughter's spring break. So they're at the age now where I tend to just stay home and hang out with them a little bit. We did take them to the Final Four in San Antonio a couple years ago.
Tim's down there, and Hyro, anybody else?
Yeah, Jared Barrett went down also.
Ken, if I can squeeze it in, have you made a definite decision yet on Charlie Enquist or Will DiOrio instead of in terms of scholarships next year?
Well, I'm hoping they're both back in the program, but have not made a final decision on scholarships for anybody at this point.